Inside the time chamber, a great battle is about to begin. The three Saiyans face each other with their powers to the maximum, and then the fight begins. Vegeta goes for Broly, who hits him with a blow, pushing him back. Vegeta says, "Oh, he's strong!" Goku goes towards him, releasing upwards and delivering a downward punch, hitting Broly, who ducks, giving space for Vegeta to recover quickly. Vegeta propels himself to the ground with one hand and is launched towards Goku. Vegeta starts to give several blows and Goku dodges. With an impressive speed, Broly leaves for the coma of the two, and an exchange of attacks between the three begins. The fight seems to be very balanced at that moment. Outside, the warriors who decide they must continue their training while waiting for the three Saiyans to leave the time chamber, so Piccolo says, "Gohan, Granola, shall we go to the mountains and train some more?" Gohan nods his head. Yes. Granola says, "Of course, we will perfect some techniques while we wait." At that moment, the three say goodbye to Mr. Popo and Dende and fly towards the mountains where Piccolo and Gohan usually train. Back in the time chamber, several days have passed and the hard training continues. The three Saiyans meditate and do various types of training to perfect their techniques and seek to overcome their limits. Broly had never trained with friends before, and now he trained with two Saiyans who came from the same place. That makes him very happy. Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, three extremely powerful warriors coming from the Great Warrior race, were there training hard for the qualifiers of the Great Tournament that would arrive soon. Meanwhile, in other universes, several warriors continue to train. Hey, how's it going? Just here to remind you to click the like button, subscribe here to the channel so you don't miss any videos, and stay well inside our entire universe of Dragon Ball. Let's get back to the point. Hit had settled on a planet within a galaxy known as the Central Galaxy, where he was training with some very peculiar beings who taught him every powerful murderous technique. On this planet, the beings were known for various agility that could control space, time, creation, and the destruction of matter, thus teaching several new skills to Hit. Now he could create energy weapons using the atoms and particles of ki that he himself produced, thus being able to create knives, swords, spears, shields, and various objects just by using a little concentration and a small part of his ki. On the Sadala planet, Kale, Caulifla, and Cabba continue their training. The two girls have already managed to overcome their limits and develop incredibly powerful techniques. Cabba had also become a very powerful warrior and had already surpassed the powers of a Super Saiyan. Jiren had become closer to his friend Toppo, and the two managed to become extremely powerful. Toppo had already obtained the agility to control his power of destruction, and Jiren can improve with his overwhelming power. Earth, Universe 7. Piccolo, Gohan, and Granola continue training together. The three have improved a lot and develop incredible techniques. Gohan and Piccolo watch while Granola develops a new technique. He meditates above the mountains, concentrating all his ki, causing him to gather the maximum power in a small space of time. After that, he made it expand by releasing massive and destructive energy around him. He called this massive ki breathing technique. Gohan tells Piccolo, "It's amazing how Granola managed to increase his powers in a time chamber. And here on Earth, isn't it, Mr. Piccolo?" Piccolo answers, "Yes, Gohan. He is very powerful now." Gohan continues to say, "It looks like he's almost mastered the new technique." And Piccolo completes by saying, "We should create new techniques too, don't you think? After all, in this new tournament, we will need to surprise everyone." Gohan agrees, and they continue their training. Meanwhile, Frieza continues to travel the universe with his army. Frieza, on his ship, happy after being summoned to the tournament, imagine what it will be like when he becomes a deity. Frieza says, "I managed to adapt my Black Frieza form. Now that I have overwhelming power, I will be able to carry out my revenge." Frieza laughs and continues talking. "But now I'm going to dedicate myself to becoming a god of destruction. When I obtain this power of divinity, there will be nothing that can stop me. And everything that I've ever dreamed of will be possible." In celebration, Frieza decides to descend to a planet that was nearby and conquer it with his own hands. He was determined to become a god, and nothing would stand in his way. Frieza, a cold, ambitious, and evil demon with a deep hatred for Saiyans, had never hidden his ambitions, and at this moment was more determined than ever to fulfill his goals of becoming an evil god emperor. Back in the time chamber, we see the warriors taking a break from their training, where they talked a little. Broly says, "We've been here for a few months now, and this is pretty weird." Goku responds, "Outside, not even a day has passed." Vegeta says, "You idiots are not going to keep on training?" Broly responds, "I miss my friends, but I know this training is making me more powerful, and maybe I can control myself when I get mad." Goku says, "Broly, your powers are much greater. Maybe now you can control them." Broly lowers his head, sighs, and doesn't answer. Goku stands up, closes fists, and says, "Well, let's get back to training." At that moment, we see Gohan training with Piccolo. Piccolo makes a huge energy shield around himself and tells Gohan, "Come, but don't hold back, Gohan." He prepares his ki, clasping his hands above his head and concentrating a reasonable amount of energy. He shouts, "Supremazinko!" At that moment, countless spheres of energy leaves his head, going at extreme speed towards Piccolo, who with great difficulty tries to defend himself. And Piccolo says, "You did it, boy. You obtained an extremely powerful new technique. If you used all your power to attack me, I would be in pieces right now." The hours passed quickly, and it was time to go back to the temple. As Goku, Vegeta, and Broly were about to leave the time chamber, and everyone was curious to see how powerful they've become, the three warriors head towards the temple at high speed, with the intention of arriving before the three Saiyans leave. In the temple of Dende, he carefully observed the door of the time chamber and said, "A few minutes, they will already leave. Have they managed to evolve their powers?" At that moment, we see Goku and Vegeta together with Broly still training. They wage a battle intent. Vegeta fires his final flash in the direction of the two, Broly throwing his energy sphere. Goku charges his Kamehameha as he goes towards them. The three begin to go from side to side, attacking with fury. Suddenly, Broly's powers began to expand wildly. It was the first time he would lose control in a long time. Vegeta tries to stop him, and Broly grabs Vegeta's head and starts hitting him on the ground, while Goku hit him with countless punches and kicks, and Broly felt absolutely nothing. With the other hand, Broly holds Goku by the face and makes the two Saiyans hit each other's head, making them dizzy. Goku managed to break free, but Vegeta was still punished by Broly, who knocks him to the ground and starts stomping his face several times. Goku screams, "Kamehameha!" hitting Broly with all his power. He continues advancing towards the Saiyan. Vegeta still is lying on the ground, totally defeated, unconscious. His left arm was broken, several ribs injured, and his leg had been crushed. With training, Broly had become 100 times more powerful. And now that he had reached his form without conscience, his power had multiplied thousands of times. Goku finds himself cornered, and Broly quickly approaches, hitting him in the belly, making him spit blood. Then Broly presses to the ground, holding his face. Broly's hand was bathed in Goku's blood. The gigantic Saiyan punished him by giving several powerful blows to his belly. Goku looks into Broly's furious eyes, slowly stretches his hand towards Vegeta, and just as he's about to lose consciousness and pass out, a small glow passes through his fingers and starts to climb up to his arm. His hair starts to change colors, and everything around him starts to vibrate. Outside the time chamber, the sky darkens, and several rays begin to fall from the sky. Goku's eyes shine brightly, and Broly's blows get slower and slower. At that moment, a gigantic explosion happens, throwing Broly away, and Goku manages to achieve a new transformation. Inside the time chamber, everything shook and the sky darkened, and all he could see was the glow of intent emanating from Goku. Broly, still out of control, lunges at him, and all that can be seen is Goku's hand slowly reaching up and touching Broly's face. At this moment, a gigantic explosion of light takes over everything, and then everything goes dark again. Outside the temple, the warriors who approached in an instant sense a very powerful presence. Piccolo at this moment speaks. "Did you feel this awesome power? I couldn't detect a single ki, but I sensed the presence more intimidating than the presence of Beerus himself." Gohan responds, "I also felt that. What could it be?" Granola says, "Is that an enemy?" They keep going to the temple. Frieza was now more powerful than ever to achieve his goals. His evil mind can't stop imagining everything he can do if he achieves his goals. His plans and desires now seem to be getting closer and closer. In an unknown universe, in a distant galaxy, in an empty and dark shadow place, 3 silhouettes appear in the midst of darkness. Could these be the warriors from a universe we didn't know yet? Beings with a dark and evil aura. The being who was in the center, who appears to be the leader, with a frighteningly evil voice, he said, "The time has come for us to begin and put our plan into practice. Everything is already decided, and nothing can stop us. This time, we will become the supreme sovereigns." Going back to the time chamber, we see Vegeta throwing water over Goku, who was unconscious. Goku awakens and asks, "Are you okay, Vegeta? What happened?" Vegeta says, "I don't remember very well, but Broly was out of control and the damn thing knocked me out. And from that moment, I can't remember anything. I just know that I woke up after a while and you were out. And I was very hurt. But I managed to reach the sensu beans and then I recovered. And so I came to wake you up." Goku gets up and asks, "Where's Broly?" Goku closes his eyes and leans in and says, "I can sense his ki, but it's pretty weak and it's too far from here. I'm going to get him." Goku then teleports to another place within the time chamber. Locating Broly, he sees him unconscious, with his clothes torn and extremely injured, and then he puts his hand on him and teleports back to where Vegeta was. Broly awakens and asks, "What happened? I can't remember. I was out of control again, wasn't I? Sorry, I didn't expect this to happen." Vegeta then, being aggressive as usual, yells, "You damn bastard! You can't control your useless power and you still don't remember a thing!" Goku then starts to say, "Calm down, Vegeta. You and I can't remember what happened either. In fact, the 3 of us lost because we have no idea what ended up happening." Vegeta then crosses his arms and frowns. He looks in the sides and says, "Damn it. I was close to die and that made my powers increase even more. So this time I won't kill this idiot." Goku then says, "Well, we still have a few hours to stay here. So, shall we go back to training?" Vegeta agrees, and Broly's still a little unsure of continuing with the training because he was insecure, afraid of losing control again. So Goku, with his polite and extroverted way, says, "Hey, trust yourself. I know you won't lose control again." He smiles and puts his hand on Broly's head. And then the 3 Saiyans go back to training. They had only a few hours left there. Outside the temple, Gohan, Piccolo, and Granola arrives. And Gohan asks, "Does it take a lot of time for them to leave yet?" Dende answers, "No, it's almost time. They're probably going to leave any minute now." At that moment, everyone there begins to feel an overwhelming pressure. Piccolo, surprised and serious, says, "They're coming." The door of the time chamber opens, and at that moment the 3 warriors came out. Their powers had grown in an unimaginable way, and even the warriors who were out there watching can't believe it. Or if you want, you can imagine how powerful those 3 warriors were. Goku then smiles, says, "Hey guys!" Impressed, Gohan asks, Father, your powers are incredible. How did you reach this level?" Goku, still confused, says, "Gohan, honestly, we don't even know what happened in there. I just know that I feel my powers flow in a way I never felt before." Piccolo then approaches and asks, "Goku, are you going to look for someone else for the tournament? Because so far there's only us." After hearing this, Goku responds, I still don't know who I can call, but I have an idea. I'll be right back." Then suddenly Goku teleports away. Already? Goku arrives at the planet of destruction and meets Whis. He already arrived asking, "Hey, Mr. Whis, where's Lord Beerus?" And Whis responds, "I sent him to a place where only some gods can go. He told me he needed to prepare and do some training. So I sent him there because it's a perfect place for a god of destruction to hone his powers. And he is the only one who would bear to train in a place like that, so you won't find him here. Do you need him for anything?" Goku, with wide open eyes, comes very close to Whis and excitedly says, "Mr. Whis, would you let me go to that place too?" Whis hits Goku's head with his staff and says, "I just said it's a place made specially for gods of destruction. By any chance you're a god of destruction and I'm not aware of it?" Goku, who had fallen sitting on the ground, responds, "Ow, ow, 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 ow! It hurts, Sir Whis." "Well, I'm not. I just imagined it would be an amazing place to train, and so I wanted to go there. Ow! You didn't have to hit me so hard." Whis speaks, "That's what you deserve." Goku then responds, "Oh, I almost forgot. Do you know how many Universe Warriors should go to the tournament?" And could you tell me? Whis responds, Goku, you didn't pay attention to the rules, did you? Alright, I will explain to you. Each universe can take an indefinite number of warriors as long as it does not exceed the limits of 10. For the playoff, these warriors will be drawn in battles until only the necessary amount is left, which in this case is 12, and they are left to face the gods of destruction. Do you understand now, little guy? Goku then says, Oh, so there's no need to look for anyone anymore. Whis then speaks, I'm going to give you a very important information. An angel was sent to each universe to invite the warriors, but powerful ones who had not been called, or who were not invited to the meeting. We communicated that there would be a tournament, so this time the universes don't have to worry and look for more warriors, because it would be very difficult to know which warrior would be able to participate apart from the people who were invited, but all those who were present at the meeting. The great high priest already took the necessary steps to summon them. Goku scratches his head and says, Damn, I didn't understand anything. Whis smiles and says, In addition to the participants you called, don't worry about calling other people. We've already taken care of that. Goku, still confused, just reply, Okie dokie then. Will you take me to Beerus? Angry Whis replied, I already said no. Laughing, Goku teleports back to Earth. Meanwhile, in Universe 6, Jiren and Toppo continue their training. At that moment, they were in a fierce combat to know how far they could increase their powers. Toppo, in this form god of destruction, flew quickly towards Jiren, who was calm with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. When he noticed that Toppo was approaching to attack him, he just opened his eyes and only with the pressure of his powers managed to repel the attack from above. He raises his hand with 2 fingers pointing upwards, causing a key sphere to emerge from the ground below Jiren, catching him by surprise. Jiren, then high up, punches the air and the crushing pressure of his fist hits Toppo's back. Thrown to the ground, Toppo recovers, quickly raises his hand and screams, Justice? Flash! Firing dozens of attacks in an instant. Jiren flies to the sides, dodging all attacks and then boosts himself appearing in front of Toppo with absurd speed. And Toppo only realized it when he heard, You're finished. At that moment, Toppo looks down and sees Jiren's closed fist touching his body, understanding that he had been defeated. Everyone was looking forward to the tournament qualifiers. Goku arrives on Earth after talking to Whis and solving his doubts in a part. From this moment, all they could do was wait. Everyone was excited and anxious for the great battle to begin. There was still some days left for the tournament to start, so Goku and the others decided to train a little more until there were only 2 days left. And in those 2 days they would rest, so that they had all the energy to fight. Frieza, the great emperor of evil, was too anxious to be able to wait until the day that the qualifiers would start. And then, to meet his need for combat, he traveled around the universe finding some planets where they simply destroy them, thus letting the days pass a little less boring. In other universes, several warriors prepared to give their all to increase their powers. In a distant universe, some warriors decide to get together so that they can make a mini-tournament among themselves so that they can expand their powers. In another one, the beings from that place just waited patiently. And everything was being meticulously planned for this incredible tournament to be held to decide who would be the new gods of destruction of the universes. A few days passed, and Goku is already at his house with his wife Chi-Chi and his youngest son Goten. Broly had gone to stay at Goku's house while they wait for the day that the qualifiers would start. Krillin arrives on an unexpected visit with Gohan and Piccolo, and everyone decides that they would go to the riverside so that they could have a moment of leisure and getting to relax a little first of all. Arriving there, everyone is happy and excited. But Broly is just sitting, watching the river pass, watching the birds, the trees, the grass, and all the animals that they were there. Broly looked sad. At that moment, Goku approaches and the two begin to talk. Goku says, Hey Broly, how's it going? You seem to be upset about something. And Broly answers, No, it's not a big deal. Goku continues to say, Sure, everyone is happy and excited, but you're sitting here very quietly. What happened? Broly then starts to say, I don't know if I should be here. My powers drive me crazy sometimes and I'm dangerous. Goku watches and says, I understand. But don't you remember anything that happens when you're in that form? Broly responds, most things don't, and I see some flashes in my mind of some things that happened. Goku looks seriously at Broly. Hey, you don't have to be like that. Let's figure out a way to help you control your powers. At that moment, Broly says, Goku, I remember something that happened in a time chamber. I remember seeing a Super Saiyan with a different form, and suddenly a flash, and I don't remember anything else. Goku is surprised and says, It was just me, you, and Vegeta. I'm sure there was no one else there. Broly is confused and says, It felt so real. I'm sure I saw a strange figure that I had never seen before. That was a Saiyan. Goku gets thoughtful and suddenly says, I don't think there really was someone else there but us. But I'll try to figure out something. With these doubts, they continue to wait for the day of the qualifiers. And the days passed slowly. There were only 2 days left for the qualifiers to start. Hit! The assassin from Universe 6 is finishing his training. He had obtained incredible powers, and at that moment he was going to a planet where several warriors from Universe 6 would meet. Saiyans from that universe, Jiren, so they wait until the long-awaited day. On planet Earth, all the warriors go to Bulma's house, and there they gather. On planet Earth, all the warriors go to Bulma's house, and there they gather so they can wait. In the other universes, everyone starts to gather in specific places so that they can reach the tournament site together. Meanwhile, Frieza continued having fun destroying some planets, so that time passed faster. For he was eager to become the god of destruction. Frieza has just landed on an unknown planet where several families resided, simple-minded beings who watched the evil emperor approach, and then the leader of that community appears. Frieza arrives next to them. The leader arrives next to receive him and says, Welcome, my good sir, to our humble home, where we can serve you. Welcome, my good sir, to our humble home so that we can serve you. Frieza then starts laughing. And he responds, That's right. I want you to serve me, but I have no interest in you, so just die. At this moment, Frieza shoots a blast of energy that crosses the chest of the leader, and everyone starts desperately running away. Frieza fires numerous attacks, wiping out most of the inhabitants. Some manage to run away and hide. Frieza starts to fly, and while flying through the sky stops and observes everything around him and says, I will not waste my time looking for each one of you. I will exterminate you all. And then Frieza starts to rise, flies higher, raises his hand with the tip of his finger and starts to laugh. As a sphere of energy begins to form, that power takes on absurdly gigantic proportions, and with an evil laugh, more fireworks! He hurls it at the planet. Right now, we can watch that little world break up into little pieces. And so Frieza, Emperor of the Universe, destroys yet another race. When approaching slowly and possible to see, Frieza amidst the wreckage as if nothing had happened. His eyes filled with evil looks ecstatic for destruction. He says, What beautiful fireworks! After which, he raises his arm and contemplates the magnitude of his powers. Back for the planet Earth, we can observe all the warriors gathered, and we see Gohan surprised as he asks, Dad, then the other warriors of our universe were called, which we still don't know. And Piccolo completes saying, Goku, you could have at least asked Whis how the warriors were summoned, so that we don't even have a surprise. Goku embarrassed in response, I kind of forgot. He hit me with the staff on my head, so I didn't have time to ask. At this point, Vegeta looks over and just sighs. Trunks and Goten run over and ask Gohan, Big brother, can I participate too? There will be very strong guys there. Gohan bends down, puts his hand on his head and says, You can't go there because all the warriors have already been summoned. But maybe in the next one we can take you. In the meantime, train and get very strong. Goten gets a little upset but manages to understand and says motivated, I'll try hard, and next time I'll be stronger than you. I will wait. And Vegeta, he walked from one side to another with his little daughter in his arms and said, Why did this bunch of idiots have to come here? And acting a little goofy, he says, looking at his daughter, They're disturbing the great little princess of all Saiyans to sleep. Then they come across with Bulma looking at him. At this moment, he immediately regains all his Saiyan pride and says, "Take her, Bulma. She wants to sleep." Handing her daughter in Bulma's arms, turning her back with a flushed face, crossing her arms and walking away. Bulma lets out a slight smile and says to her little daughter, "Dad is so affectionate, right? But he has to maintain a macho attitude." Time continues to pass, and a few hours later, it wasn't long before they went to the tournament qualifiers. Everyone was gathered there, awaiting anxiously for the time to go to arrive. And then Whis arises in that spot. And then he starts to say, "Gentlemen, are you all here? It's time to go." The Z warriors say goodbye to their families, and together with Whis, they leave. Sometime later during the trip, they were making a cosmic cube. Goku asks Whis, "When will this tournament take place, Mr. Whis?" And Whis responds, "The tournament will be had in an empty universe. Lord Zerno himself provided it so that all warriors can present all their skills. We have already built the arena, and now we are just taking everyone to start." And finally, the long-awaited moment arrives. As the warriors approach, they observe a gigantic construction wandering in the middle of the empty universe. And they begin to observe that there were already several warriors from various universes, and there would be the place where a spectacular battle would begin.
In an empty universe created by Zeno, the warriors are now approaching a large arena where the qualifying matches will take place for the great tournament of destruction. Upon arrival, the warriors face countless other fighters and manage to notice some familiar faces among them. Goku is proud and admired to see so many powerful people gathered in one place. Goku is proud and admired to see so many powerful people gathered in one place. In this moment, Goku says,
"Wow, there are incredible powerful beings here."
They also fear Jiren and Hit and several other warriors who will participate in the tournament. Sniffing around, suddenly Goku gets scared and screams,
"Holy crap, isn't that Frieza? What is he doing here?"
Gohan also looks around and says, "I guess they didn't tell him we didn't invite him." At this moment, the Supreme Priest stands on the stage and begins to speak. "Ladies and gentlemen summoned, surely we will begin the elimination phase of the great tournament of destruction. But before, we will explain how the battles will take place. I see that we have many warriors around here, approximately 600 fighters in search of glory, wanting to become a god of destruction. Then we will start with a royal battle, where everyone will fight at the same time, and the first 50 that are left will advance to the next phase. We will give a little while so that we can rest, and after that we will do another real battle. And there will be only 24 warriors left, who will have more time to recover their energies. And then we will start the fight 1 against 1 so that the best 12 will be chosen. The battles do not have a time limit. There are also no rules that the impression of killing your opponent is worth everything. Because if you are opponents, then you are not in a position to fight, or if you ask to leave, you will be disclassified and the fight ends. Oh, and there's one last important thing. All those who are defeated will be instantly extinguished, and that will be the rules of this elimination phase. I hope you appreciate the beginning of the great tournament of destruction." All the people who are there are beginning to look worried, and in a tense atmosphere they will not be. And the High Priest calmly continues to say, "Keep in mind that this phase of this tournament will be long and delayed. We have prepared some facilities to accommodate them, and whenever necessary, they will be able to stay in this place." The Supreme Priest raises his hand, pointing to where the arched dwarves were located, and to one side it's possible to see a gigantic tower with several rooms and gigantic windows. This tower is divided by floors. Each floor corresponds to where each universe should be, and then the Supreme Priest says, "The first stage will start in 30 minutes. All warriors go to the tower so that you know your place, and we will meet again in 30 minutes. At this moment, all the warriors, shaken by what they've just heard, head towards the tower. Universe 7 accommodations. Upon reaching the floor where the Universe 7 warriors would stay, Goku and the others noticed that Frieza was right there. Goku approaches and says to Frieza, "What are you doing here, Frieza?" And then Frieza responds,
I was summoned to participate in the tournament. After all, I was the most powerful being in the universe. And now, I have the chance to become the god of destruction. By chance you didn't think I'd stay out of this?
Vegeta butts in, already saying, "You will never become a god, even if I have to kill you again, you insect. And apparently you don't get tired of being killed by the Saiyans." At this moment, a tense mood arises, and Frieza looks seriously at Vegeta and responds,
Want to try, insect? I won't have to wait until the tournament starts. I will finish you right here and now.
And Vegeta starts grinding his teeth in rage. And Goku appears, interrupting them, saying, "Calm down, guys. We'll settle this inside the arena for the time being and pretend we're friends. All right? Vegeta?" "All right, Kakarot."
Fine by my terms.
Each floor of the tower was made up of countless rooms, each room named after the warrior or warriors who would settle there. They all reach a hallway where they notice several doors with their names written on them. Gohan finds his room, Piccolo finds his, and everyone else too. However, Vegeta's room would be between Goku's room and Frieza's room. As Vegeta approaches, he sees his name on the door, and when he looks at the side, he sees Goku, and when he looks on the other side, he sees the writing Frieza, the Emperor of Evil. And Frieza approaches at that moment and starts to laugh. Vegeta angrily looks at him and says, "What are you laughing at, you imbecile?" And Frieza replies,
Even here they recognize me as the Emperor of Evil. And on yours it says simply Vegeta. You weren't the little prince of that insignificant planet.
Vegeta is furious, and Frieza is still laughing. Frieza opens the door to his room and simply slams the door in Vegeta's face. In a comical scene, Vegeta says, "I'll get him! I'll get him! I'll get him!" While Goku holds him with his clothes so he can calm down. And Goku keeps saying, "Come down, Vegeta! Come down, Vegeta!" A few minutes pass and we can observe Piccolo inside his room, where we can see a huge window facing the arena where you could see everything perfectly. Then Piccolo says, "This place is really amazing. They've thought of everything. They prepared a feast, bad TV, everything's here, so that we can feel comfortable. And all this while we use them for their own amusement." Meanwhile, on the other floors, we can see that each room adapts to the style of who will stay with it. We see Jiren's room where he was meditating, feeling a gentle breeze on his face. We can see Hit's room, which was a typical killer's room, obscure and gloomy, the way he just preferred. We see the room of each of the Saiyans from the Universe 6, who adapted to their personality. We can see that each warrior of each universe would feel extremely comfortable in their environment. And so the 30-minute pass, and everyone is summoned back to the arena, where we see the High Priest Zeno-sama just waiting for the warriors to arrive. When everyone arrives, everyone bows to the great Zeno, and at that moment the Supreme Priest says, "Everyone head to the center of the arena." And Daishinkan instruct them to get ready. Everyone takes a stand. And the great priest says again, "Everyone knows the rules, so do your best. Try your hardest. And get started!" At this moment, Zeno is already ecstatic because we can see warriors fighting each other, explosions all over the place. We can then notice that the warriors of Universe 7 begin to dissipate, each one to one side. Without thinking twice, Vegeta goes after Frieza, who had already disappeared amidst the explosions, and then Vegeta is faced with an enemy that hits him with incredible force, knocking him to the ground. At this moment, the enemy approaches Vegeta slowly with the intention of exterminating him. But Cabba quickly appears, hitting that being, causing it to be the first eliminated. When that being fell from the arena, it automatically disappears, thus having its existence erased. Cabba extends his hand to Vegeta and says, "Are you okay, Master?" Vegeta slaps Cabba's hand and orders, "Don't ever meddle with my fight again or I'll kill you!" Vegeta gets up and walks towards the post. But Vegeta stops and looks back out of the corner to his eyes and says, "You've grown so much, Cabba. I'm proud of you.
Then he continues walking, and Cabba is very happy to receive a compliment from the Saiyan Prince. In another corner of the arena, we see Jiren with his arms crossed, just watching as an unknown being approaches and launches numerous attacks against him. That doesn't even show a reaction. Jiren just raises his hand, striking lightly, his enemy flinging him away as if he were just an insect, and then with an opposing voice he says,
It's not you I want to fight.
and then we see warriors being taken out quickly, and we see other battle ensue. We can notice 3 extremely dark warriors who did not part, and who easily defeated anyone who approached them. That way, without attracting attention, they just walked from one side to the other, eliminating all those who get in their way. These beings didn't say anything at all. They just watched them protect themselves. Zeno-sama could barely contain himself, but the great tournament of destruction has just begun, and several incredible battles have already taken place.
The great tournament of destruction begins. Hundreds of warriors clash in battles beyond imagination. The Z warriors fought with everything they had, and everything would be decided in this tournament. Several battles take place at the same time. Kale is fighting a very powerful enemy that has taken her away from her friends in Universe 6. Hit shows off his assassin skills. Since there were no rules preventing him from killing his opponents, he could give it his all. At that moment, Gohan faced an extremely powerful enemy who had the ability to liquefy, becoming a kind of conscious liquid that spread everywhere. And he could also revert back to normal with a humanoid form so he could attack. Gohan flies towards the enemy, and Gohan tries to attack him, only it liquefies and Gohan ends up slipping and sliding to the edge. At this point, he lets out a blast of ki, which takes him back to the safe arena. Gohan tries to attack his enemy but fails. He thinks of a way to defeat this enemy, and then comes Piccolo, who runs to help. At that moment, Piccolo starts to carry his most powerful power. The enemy changes back to normal form to attack Gohan, but when Gohan tries to counterattack, the enemy liquefies. Therefore, it is practically impossible to hit by the blows. At this moment, we see Piccolo preparing to put his strategy into action. Piccolo shouts, "Get away, Gohan!" And Piccolo uses his Macaco Sampo screaming attack. The enemy tries to liquefy to dodge his attack, but even in liquid form, he's hit and thrown away. In another corner of the arena, several fights take place. Goku uses his power to face several enemies at the same time, and Broly would be able to fight calmly with several enemies at this point. And Broly starts to be pushed back and then bumps into Kale, who stares at him, and suddenly Kale says, "Careful!" Broly turns, slashing the air, causing the force of his blow to push enemies away. Broly and Kale are alone, looking at each other, facing each other. Broly approaches and stares straight into her eyes. So Broly says, "Hi, what's your name?" And she's blushing, puts her hand on her face, and stammeringly replies, Me? My name? My name's Kale. And you? And yours?" And he responds, I'm Broly. I feel something different looking at you. Your energy has something strange. At that time, she turns completely red, embarrassed. Broly approaches even more and says, "You're also a Saiyan like me, and not only that, it seemed to be the same." Kale doesn't understand anything, and she's still very embarrassed, when suddenly a gigantic ki blast comes towards the two. Broly holds her in his lap and turns around. Protecting her from the attack, and with her in his arms says, "Are you okay?" Kale responds, "Yes, you saved me." Meanwhile, Frieza was having a hard time. He was cornered by 4 enemies who attacked him from all directions. He was hit by punches and kicks, and they pushed to the sides until Vegeta appears, releasing a power Final Flash, throwing the aggressors out of the arena. Frieza looks at Vegeta and says, "Do not bother me if you meddle in one more of my fights. I vote Kale." Vegeta starts laughing. "You really are disgusting, worm. This time, there's nothing and no one can get in my way of my goal of ending you." At that moment, Vegeta throws a punch against Frieza, who defends himself and then returns the attack. And then Frieza says, "Are you sure you want to face me now? I think it's still too early to kill all the Saiyans."
Vegeta then responds, Why don't you shut your mouth while I finish punching you in the face? Vegeta throws a punch towards Frieza, who dodges quickly, landing a blow on Vegeta's belly, and Frieza sarcastically responds,
I'm so sorry. For now, I don't want to fight you, as it would be too easy. Try to get stronger like Goku, then maybe it's not a waste of time.
And Vegeta uses his speed, disappearing from there, going to the other side of the arena. Vegeta recovers from the blow and gets up in a rage, raising your ki and screaming, Goku had already eliminated some enemies and was looking around. When suddenly he's hit by Hit, which appears in front of him saying, Long time no see, Goku. I just wanted to see if you're stronger now. Goku responds, Hit, you're pretty powerful. This time, I'm not just the same anymore. You can come attack me with everything. Hit responds, Too excited to see how much you evolved it. Hit goes to Goku's back by hitting him several times, and Goku dodges each attack. Hit smiles, and then Goku is hit with a blow sequence. When Goku realizes the hit was several meters away, and after that, Goku can feel the impact of the blows that have been launched against him. Goku then kneels down in pain and says, Damn you, you really are more powerful than before. I didn't even see where the attacks came from. Hit says, And as I told you, I attacked you. At this moment, Goku looks closely at Hit, who is still standing in the same place. And without looking away or paying attention, Goku feels the attack hit him again. Goku then thinks out loud, Where are these attacks coming from? You haven't moved, I'm sure. Hit's response, Want me to do it again? Maybe this time you'll notice. Goku says, Come on. Hit answer, There I go. At that moment, Hit doesn't even move, but Goku feels several attacks, a sequence of blows, ravagers that rip his clothes off and leaves him with a few minor injuries. Hit said, You won't be able to figure out what's going on, but when I tell you, it won't make a difference. Goku watches closely and Hit begins to explain. Since the last time we fought, I understood that I couldn't get to you with my time jump again, and so I evolved, and even that wouldn't be enough. And that's how I decided that I needed to rediscover it and recreate it. So with you, I won't use the time jump anymore. I'll use the infinite time jump. That's why I know that I have already defeated you. My technique has reached to a point where it can transition between time at any point in our battle, so I can attack you. And by deactivating it, you will feel these attacks. So at this very moment, I didn't attack even once. But you already received all my attacks, and in a few seconds, you had felt their impact. At that moment, we can see that the Hit techniques are completely more powerful, and Hit continues to explain. My infinite time jump consists of manipulating reality and transiting between time and space that our battle would last. So I can simply finish you off during that time, and you will only realize when you are already defeated. Goku is surprised by this ability, but Goku says, It really is an incredible ability, and that means that automatically you already know everything that will happen in our combat. So to defeat you, the solution is very simple. I just need to not face you. So our fight didn't happen, so you won't have to hit me even once, which means you lost. At this moment, Goku crosses his arms and stops fighting. Hit gets enraged and goes after him. At this moment, Goku attacks him with a sphere of ki, causing him to be thrown away. Goku really is a genius of battle, and he managed to find a gap in an incredible ability to hit, making his invincible time leap a great weakness. At this moment then, we see Hit stand up and says, Son Goku, you are the only enemy capable of making me stronger. I will grow even more, and I will evolve, and soon I will be able to beat you. At this point in the elimination phase, we can see that hundreds of warriors have already been eliminated, but the battle still continues. And extremely powerful warriors will still have their battles approaching. It's been about 15 minutes since the start of the knockout phase. The eliminations of the tournament begin to get more and more incredible. Extremely powerful warriors face each other, and everything is moving forward so that the strongest survive and manage to pass to the next stage. Daishi-kun watches the magnificent battles and says to Zeno,
Mr. Zeno, are you satisfied with the phase of the tournament?
And Zeno responds,
But of course, it's amazing. We'll survive.
Inside the arena, it is possible to observe countless impressive explosions of energy. Several parts of the arena were already in ruins, and amidst the wreckage, it is possible to see Caulifla, who is looking for Kale. Caulifla says at that moment,
Where did that girl go?
and scream.
Kale!
At that moment, she hears a familiar voice.
Hi, it's been a while since we've seen each other, right?
When looking back, she noticed that who was there was none other than Goku, and then she says,
Hey, old man, it's you. You want to fight me, right? Now I don't have time for you. I'm looking for Kale. I want to know how powerful you got.
and so Caulifla says,
Old man, when you see my powers, your jaw will drop.
the two strike a fighting pose and are about to start a big Saiyan confrontation. Jiren and Toppo are side by side, repelling all enemies that try to face them. The power of both is impressive. All battles are extremely overwhelming, and it is not known for sure who will win this incredible round. Hit was frustrated as he didn't get a chance to show off his other skill that he had achieved. At that instant, Hit says, Son Goku, you really are amazing. I haven't had time to show you my full power, but I know that our confrontation is far from over. I will fight you again. At that moment, two enemies appear, and Hit senses their presence. In seconds, he charges an amount of aura in the palm of his hand. Hit creates two knives with his ki and throws them towards the enemies. The weapons explode, causing the two to fall from the arena and thus being eliminated. Hit then says, Soon we will fight again, Son Goku. And this time, that will be the last. The mysterious being that walked around the arena avoiding conflicts just found extremely powerful beings that confronted him. Cyber, Fighters, and Kaithak. Very strong beings from a forgotten universe. They decided to win this confrontation, and when they realized that those three who were just dodging whatever enemies imagined that they would not be a great challenge to overcome. When seeing the three with their dark cloaks and their hoods that cover the entire face, Cyber says,
Those over there avoiding battles must be wimps.
Fighters responds,
Weaklings won't last long here. Let's finish them off at once.
and everyone agrees. The three confront those mysterious beings and immediately go on the attack, a sequence of blows and strikes. Quickly, they taking distance and hurling countless K-blasts. Smoke takes over everything, and there is the sound of several blows being fired. Then the smoke begins to dissipate, and we see Cyber, Fighters, and Kaithak lie on the edge of the arena, completely defeated, unconscious. At that moment, one of the three mysterious warriors, the one that was bigger in the size being extremely disproportionate to the others, was standing beside the three defeated ones, and mercilessly kicks them out of the arena, eliminating them. About 40% of the warriors who participated on this phase have already been defeated. Vegeta is extremely furious because he feels humiliated in a previous round by Frieza. Vegeta says, Oh, what the hell? The bastard belittled my damn powers! Coming from afar, Vegeta hears a voice that says,
Hey, Master!
Cabba approaches Vegeta saying,
Master, there you are.
Vegeta responds, Shut up, insect. Cabba approaches and stands beside his master. Suddenly, when we see the two realize they are surrounded by enemies, Vegeta then says, Useless. Get ready, boy. At that moment, the two strike a combat pose and Vegeta continues to say, Don't you dare lose to these vermin. You're a Saiyan. Cabba responds,
Yes, sir.
At that moment, the enemies go up. Vegeta and Cabba begin to fight together, dodging and delivering incredible attacks. The enemies are relentless, but Cabba and Vegeta begin to synchronize their attacks. Vegeta holds Cabba's arm, throwing him upwards. Cabba hits the enemy that was coming from there, and leans on Vegeta that spins, hitting the enemy that came from behind. Cabba screams, Master, now! And Vegeta throws him again. And then it also jumps. At this time, the two side by side charge their energies and shoot a gigantic attack and defeat their enemies. Cabba said to Vegeta,
Master, that was amazing. You're amazing.
Vegeta crosses his arms and responds, You also improved a bit. On the other side of the arena, we see Broly and Kale, who are still confused because they feel that there is something that makes them have a connection. At this moment, the great Emperor of Evil, Frieza, appears before them, who amidst laughter says,
Well, well, what do we have here? 2 Saiyan cockroaches. Monkeys. Should I break up you or have fun somewhere else?
Broly makes a serious expression, and Kale is worried about a drop of sweat running down her face. Frieza, who was on top of a piece of the arena that had broken, jumps and lands on the ground and starts approaching slowly. Broly then says,
Kale, beware. This guy's very dangerous.
Kale responds by shaking her head. Broly yells at Frieza,
What do you want here? Want to face us?
Frieza says,
I just want to have some fun. Shall we? Give me some entertainment.
At that moment, Frieza hits Broly with an extremely powerful punch in the stomach, causing him to spit blood, then kicks him, throwing him towards several rocks. And then Frieza uses his ki, making some energy rings and throws them towards Broly, leaving him completely trapped. That way, Broly is unable to move, and Kale advances on top of Frieza, who holds it with his tail, wrapping it around his neck. Then Frieza hits her with a punch on the ribs, and the girl screams with the pain. Frieza continues to choke her with his tail and starts hitting the Saiyan several times with his knee. Broly screams,
Damn, let her go now!
Frieza looks at Broly. Then he raises his hand, slowly putting his index finger on his lips and saying,
Shh. Be quiet, boy. Soon I will play with you too. For now, stand down.
A ring of energy holds the mouth of Broly. He is unable to speak. Broly tries to scream but fails, and Frieza keeps talking.
Be quiet there. When I'm done with her, I'll take care of you.
Kale is almost out of breath, and Frieza is having fun torturing her. Kale managed to hold Frieza's tail, but the villain holds the girl's face and begins to give a sequence of extremely powerful punches to her head countless times. Broly's power starts to rise, and he tries everything to break free, but Frieza is on a completely different level. After his trainings, he had become very powerful. Kale is about to pass out when his head starts to bleed. She releases the Frieza's tail as her strength has apparently ran out. Frieza continues to attack again and again and again. Blood trickles down her face. At that moment, a drop falls slowly and the silence hangs in the air. A gloomy mood takes over everything, and Broly's eyes are enraged. The only sound you can hear is the impact of Frieza's punch hitting the Kale, when suddenly, Broly awakens his berserker rage, and he goes after Frieza, landing a crushing punch to the villain's chest. A huge explosion takes over everything. Zeno, Daishikan, and everyone looks at the monster's energy and are surprised. We see Broly hold Frieza by the head, and he drags him to the arena floor and slams him against countless rocks, causing them to shatter. Frieza feels true despair. At that moment, Broly was no longer conscious, and everyone looked at the monster he had become, with his massive power that he just keeps growing. Kale, who was lying on the ground, wakes up and recovers little by little and feels Broly's energy. Then she observes what is happening. Kale gets up and goes towards Broly, who is letting all his power explode. Broly's power keeps increasing, and everything around her starts to fall apart. At this time, Kale says,
I need to stop him. Otherwise, he will destroy everything here. And he will also destroy himself.
Kale approaches Broly, who screams angrily. Kale, not knowing what to do, she heads towards him, and upon feeling its overwhelming power, she thinks that she's not able to stop it. But in a moment, she calms down, and she comes closer and closer, and as she approaches, she touches Broly's face. And at that moment, everything is silent, and then she kisses him. The tournament arena is definitely silent. Everyone stops fighting. Broly's ki is calm, and Kale, touching his face lightly after kissing him, starts to feel the change. Broly now regains his control and calms down. Zeno, who was watching everything, observes and at that moment says,
Incredible! She kissed him right! That was a big kiss! What will happen now?
Frieza was watching from afar after taking a beating from the legendary Super Saiyan and just muttered,
Damn Saiyan!
Kale asks, Broly, are you okay? And Broly says nothing. He continues in his berserker form, but at this point he's not out of control. An intense glow comes around him and he begins to change, thus reaching a new form, the form of Super Saiyan 2. At that moment he obtained the ability to transform without becoming a berserker Saiyan, but continuing with the same powers, but without losing consciousness. He looks at Kale and says, Kale, thank you. Thanks to Kale's kind gesture and a feeling of connection that the two had for having these uncontrolled powers, Broly had become an extremely powerful being. Everyone goes back to their fights after this event, and meanwhile, Caulifla says to Goku, Did you see this incredible power just now? It was similar to that of Kale. Has she lost control again? Goku looks to the other side and says, Not this time. It was Broly's ki. He lost control and his ki increased to a level that even I haven't felt before. But now he's calm again, even though his power remains gigantic. How could he control that power? Goku smiles. He looks at Caulifla and says, Well, I'm glad he got over his powers. So, you don't have to worry now. Goku makes a combat pose looking at Caulifla while smile and says, Now we have to continue our fight. Where is the amazing thing you wanted to show me? Caulifla says at that moment, It's okay, old man. Just won't regret it. She calms down. She takes a deep breath and feels her ki flow through her cells. She suddenly lets them explode, raising her power beyond comprehension. Goku is startled, for he sees that her form has changed. At this point, she transforms into a level 3 Super Saiyan, a Super Saiyan 3, and says, So what, old man? What do you think? Goku is surprised and admired by the girl's potential, until he says, Wow, you're amazing. It got to that level so fast. I do not have words. I'm really excited. Goku concentrates, raises ki, and transforms into a Super Saiyan 3 as well. And at that moment, the two go after each other. In an exchange of impressive blows, Zeno says, Goku is amazing! And Caulifla too! Look at their hair! They're the same! They're very strong! Caulifla grabs Goku's hair and throws him back into the pile of debris. Goku retaliates with energy shots that do not hit her as she dodges everything. She bounces off side to side and Goku keeps firing. Suddenly, Goku uses teleportation appearing behind her. Goku is ready to attack, but she turns quickly and lands a kick on him, which he flies away. In the stands are the gods of destruction, impressed with everything they're seeing. Each fight is more interesting than the last. Beerus watched Goku fighting Caulifla. Beerus watches closely and senses that something is not right. He sees Goku getting more and more anxious. Beerus can't tell due to Goku's movements. Goku attacks with several punches and kicks and dodges in every way, but he begins to feel out of breath and suddenly says, My powers are being consumed faster than normal. What is happening to me? Caulifla approaches and throws a punch as she screams, Don't get distracted, or I will kill you. Goku laughs and says, You're amazing, but I still couldn't do that. Goku spins and lands an extremely powerful kick on the Caulifla that spits blood and sends her flying. Goku then unleashes a sphere of ki in his direction, causing everything to explode. Caulifla reverts to her base form and passes out in the middle of the arena under some rumble. Goku also returns to normal and feels extremely tired. He sits down on rocks so he can regain his energy. More than 300 participants have already been eliminated, and the battle were still far from over. Broly is next to Kale, who is looking at him in awe due to his new transformation. Broly then looks at her and asks, Are you okay? You're not hurt, are you? Kale looks at Broly and responds, No, you saved me. And she gets red cheeks. But at that moment, Kale says, I need to find Caulifla. We got separated at the beginning of the term and now I'm worried about her. Broly says, Your friend? I'll help you find her. And the two go on a quest to find Caulifla. Vegeta and Cabba are together walking through the arena when they suddenly come across Jiren and Toppo. Vegeta says, Cabba, get out of here. I will face those two. Cabba says, Master, I will help you. We'll fight together. Vegeta looks at Cabba angrily and says, You worm. You can't stand to fight them. Don't bother me.
Cabba answers at the same moment. I'm the one who decides who I want to fight or not. Master, you don't decide for me. Vegeta looks at Cabba and says,
If they kill you, that's your problem.
But Vegeta felt proud when he saw that Cabba was discovering what the pride of being a Saiyan was. Jiren looks to the side and sees Vegeta, and at this point he says,
Is it you, Vegeta?
Vegeta, with a sarcastic looks, replies,
How long have we been seeing each other? Jiren, you haven't changed at all. Do you want to face me again to have another beating?
Vegeta smiling responds,
This time it won't be like the last. I have some new things to show you.
Vegeta then with a serious tone says,
Cabba, move away.
And then he strikes a fighting pose because he intends to fight as soon as possible. Cabba walks away a little, bumping into Toppo, who looks at him seriously and say,
Hey there, kid. Do you want to fight too?
Cabba stammering answer, Power, 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 come on! And does his fighting pose. Vegeta goes towards Jiren, and as he approaches, he dodges, going to stop behind the big enemy. Jiren turns around calmly and Vegeta ducks, causing Jiren to look down. At this moment, Vegeta digs his hands into the ground and throws a gigantic piece of stone upwards, unbalancing Jiren. Vegeta appears above him with his final flash already charged and scream,
Final Flash!
Hitting the gray directly. A huge smoke stream appears, and Vegeta gets extremely confident and says it out loud.
Hey, Bug! Hey, you worm! Appear soon. I know you can't be defeated that easily.
Immediately as the smoke dissipates, Jiren with arms crossed and a confident look says,
Is this all you got?
Vegeta responds,
Not even close.
And he already transforms into a Super Saiyan, attacking Jiren with all his speed, and he delivers an extremely powerful punch. The first of the two collide, and a big explosion forms. Jiren smiles and says,
And you really got stronger, but just a little.
Jiren raises his hand and starts hitting Vegeta, who defends himself in every possible way, and in thoughts, Vegeta says,
And really, as I thought, he's even more powerful, but nothing has changed.
Vegeta ducks, hitting the backside of his spinning leg, which becomes unbalanced and starts to fall. At that moment, Vegeta uses his ki wrapped in his hand like a blade and slashes towards Jiren's chest, who uses one hand to support himself on the ground, and with the other holds Vegeta's hand that is close to punching him. Vegeta uses his ki to propel himself down, and Jiren raises his strength to counterattack. Vegeta says,
It won't kill you, but at least I'll smash the seal face of yours.
Jiren propels himself to the side, seeing Vegeta's hand pass close to his body, and then uses his energy to throw him away. The two land on their feet and stare at each other. In another corner of the arena, Goku was sitting just trying to recover his strength when suddenly those two mysterious beings found him, and as they approached, they said, Well, 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 what do we have here? Goku looks at them and then says, There's something about you that's familiar to me. Goku gets up and prepares to combat, and the three are positioned face to face with Goku, and another battle is about to begin.
The three mysterious warriors confront Goku, who as at this point still hasn't regained his strength after the fight against Caulifla. Goku was extremely tired and felt as if his powers were being drained. Goku looks down at his hands and sees them shaking. Goku at that moment says, What's going on here? One of the three warriors approaches and says, Looks like you're a Saiyan, right? But I see that you're nothing but a weak insect. Goku looks angrily and tries to hit him with a punch. The enemy holds Goku's hands and knees him in the belly, making him spit blood. And when Goku starts to fall, he grabs his hair and says, Since you're a Saiyan, I'll let you on a secret. He pulls Goku closer and starts whispering something in Goku's ear, who's startled with wide eyes. And when he finished talking, the villain throws Goku up and says, Try not to die yet, and soon everyone will know. Goku falls to the ground and the enemy are no longer in front of him. Cabba is at the top front, who looks down on the little Saiyan. Cabba is in front of Toppo, who looks down on the little Saiyan. Cabba at this point transforms into a Super Saiyan 2, surprising Toppo with a large ki blast. At that moment, Cabba jumps and hits the big guy's chin with a kick, unbalancing him. After that, he starts hitting him with several punches. Toppo holds Cabba's fist and says, You're strong, but my justice is far stronger.
Toppo headbutts Cabba, making him dizzy, then throws him and says,
You got out of here soon.
Cabba falls wounded, but his strength is far from over. Vegeta and Jiren continue to battle. Vegeta is using all his speed against Jiren and is doing well, but Jiren is relentless and only with brute force repels all the attacks of the Saiyan Prince.
Jiren says, Vegeta, you've grown a lot stronger since the last time, but I'm sure you haven't even started fighting seriously yet.
Vegeta then says,
For a serious fight, it'll be more fun. I prefer to start little by little. Come on, Jiren. Come with me and use all your power.
Jiren smiles and answers,
Very well. Maybe now you support a little more fight would be against me.
At this point, Jiren holds Vegeta's arm that was giving him a sequence of punches. Then he starts throwing several punches at the Saiyan, hitting various parts of his body. Jiren lands a knee that causes Vegeta to bleed. Vegeta tries to fight back, but Jiren doesn't allow it, blocking the attacks with counterattacks and bypassing the defense with even more powerful attacks. Suddenly, Jiren hits Vegeta, throwing him away. Vegeta, still standing, says,
You are really incredible, but not enough for holding me back.
At that moment, Vegeta concentrates his power and transforms, his hair turning purple, his eyes completely focused on the battle. And Jiren flies towards him, landing a direct punch on Vegeta's face. He doesn't seem to care and returns the attack with similar and even greater strength than Jiren. In the distance, we see Hit fighting enemies that are a little weaker but difficult to eliminate. Hit uses his new ability and manages to defeat his opponents. Although he continues with his goal of fighting Goku, several warriors have already been defeated and the battle only gets more exciting. The gods who watch everything are extremely worried as they can contemplate how powerful those mortals who face each other there are. Gohan is with Piccolo and the two face several enemies. At this moment, the two can't hold back. Gohan says, Mr. Piccolo, are we going to finish them off? And Piccolo says,
Sure, let's go at once.
Piccolo raises his ki and Gohan flies over Piccolo. Gohan fires his Mazenko and Piccolo dodges the attack, hitting the enemies that were in front of him and defeat them. A few moments pass and they notice the presence of Sink and Dust, two warriors from another universe. They approach and without waiting start attacking Gohan and Piccolo at the same time. Several explosions happen everywhere, and Piccolo starts to gather energy for his Makanko Sapo. But he doesn't get the necessary energy in time because Sink attacks him from behind, throwing him away. Gohan, who was fighting Dust, exchanged several blows with him until he was hit by an attack from behind. Sink hit him at close range, hitting him and making him fall to the ground. Piccolo recovers and returns to the battle, approaching Gohan and saying,
This time we go all out.
Gohan agrees. Piccolo raises his ki and by focusing energy his power explodes and he achieves his last orange color transformation. With a serious look he looks at Gohan who screams, and he focuses his ki, transforming into his bestial form. In seconds, the two attack enemies and defeat them easily. Zeno, seeing the incredible power of the two, has his eyes shining, and feeling ecstatic, he has no words. All the gods start sounding cold and disbelieving in the battles that are taking place inside the arena. There are less than 130 warriors left, and the final moment is getting closer, even though there's still a long way to go before the first part of the qualifier ends. Everyone is already exhausted, but afraid of being erased. No one gives up. Kale and Broly find several pieces of rubble in the middle of the arena, and there they find Caulifla, or rather just her arm amidst the stones. Kale runs towards her screaming, Caulifla! And when approaching, she begins to remove all the rubble from above his friend. Broly approaches and helps. Kale has Caulifla in her arms, and she begins to cry. As the tears fall into Caulifla's face, she begins to wake up. Caulifla jumps from Kale's lap and bouncing from side to side starts screaming energetically, Where? Come here, old man, I'm not done with you yet! Kale doesn't understand anything, but she starts laughing. And then she says, Caulifla, what are you doing? Caulifla looks back and sees Kale and runs towards her, saying, Glad I found you. Was worried about you, girl. And then after that, Caulifla sees Broly and then says, And who is that strong guy up there? He's handsome, isn't he? are you flirting with Kale? While nudging Kale with his elbow. Kale becomes extremely embarrassed and walks away quickly, waving her hand and saying, no, of course, it wasn't just a kiss. And then Caulifla seriously looks at her and screams, what? Did you kiss him? Smarty, we came here to fight, not to flirt. Kale's face turns red and she wants to bury her face in the ground in embarrassment. Meanwhile, dozens of more enemies are thrown out. Frieza had recovered from the battle with Broly and was furious in his golden form, throwing countless warriors out and saying nothing. He just attacked whoever came in front of him. Goku, still confused, doesn't understand very well what happened, but decides to continue the qualifiers. He gets up and looks around. At this moment, a peculiar enemy appears that confronts him, and Goku says, you don't give me a second to recover, and already one enemy after another appears. Vegeta, in his Ultra Ego transformation, continues the battle against Jiren and says,
Vegeta, you never cease to amaze me. You are very persistent.
Vegeta responds,
What was that? Are you already tired, Jiren? I haven't even barely started yet.
Vegeta goes towards Jiren and lands a knee on his chin, causing him to go backwards with a blow. Vegeta lands several punches on the gray one. Suddenly, Vegeta headbutts that makes Jiren sink to the ground. Jiren recovers and stands up, holding Vegeta's leg, spinning him around and throwing him away, then flying towards him and hit him with several hits. The fight starts to get more and more fierce. Several battles have already taken place, and many warriors had their existence erased. Everyone is fighting valiantly and many enemies are already extremely exhausted. There are currently only 100 participants left. Which participants move to the next stage? What did the mysterious warrior say to Goku? After Goku was challenged to fight when he had barely recovered, Goku then goes towards his enemy, releasing a burst of ki. The enemy dodges all the attacks, and Goku counterattacks using a power that was able to manipulate the minds of his enemies. Goku approaches, and when he strikes, he sees Chi-Chi receiving the impact of his attack. Goku stops and realizes what he had done and says, Chi-Chi, how are you here? Looking deeply at the supposed Chi-Chi says, Goku, why did you hit me? Goku starts shaking, apologizing to Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi then continues to say, and fades in his arms. Goku then stands with Chi-Chi in his arms. And that moment of weakness, Goku is hit by the enemy who starts laughing. Then you have someone to care about. At that time, the enemy delivers another blow to Goku's stomach. Goku takes a deep breath and concentrates. He remembers that Chi-Chi is on planet Earth with Bulma and the others. So at that moment, Goku gets mad at the enemy and transforms into a Super Saiyan 2. However, he loses control of his actions and attitudes due to the fury he felt. Goku unleashes a wave of ki against his enemy who is thrown out of the arena. Soon after, Goku, half out of breath, begins to take a deep breath in the middle of the tournament. Goku, after getting extremely anxious, and at that instant, he remembers that moment when that mysterious enemy, as she pulled him by his hair, she whispers something in his ear. Goku starts to retreat from the battle. No, he was understanding that feeling of cold fear, and as if Goku was being drained, as if there was no hope anymore. So Goku stops in the middle of the fight and thinks, I need to control myself. I need to contain myself, but I need to win. After all, it is the fate of the Earth that is at stake. At that moment, the God of Destructions along with Lord Zeno-sama are watching and admiring such mastery. Zeno-sama says, So there are already 80 contestants left, so this is more interesting than I imagined. We should have more events like this. Meanwhile, Vegeta is having a tense battle with Jiren, at which point Jiren says, Then I can fight with all my strength. Vegeta, as usual, responds, You can come with everything, you worm, because I will defeat you. Then Vegeta attacks Jiren again, who is not using his full power, and Jiren defends himself with incredible speed. At this point, Jiren raises his hand and Vegeta approaches. He saws off his fist and hits the Saiyan in the face. With just one blow, Vegeta is thrown away. Then Vegeta recovers and lands a blow on Jiren. Final Flash! Jiren is thrown away and is impressed by Vegeta's strength. Then upon recovering quickly, he gets up and starts preparing for battle. However, he's interrupted by a warrior who attacks him. So Jiren says, We'll face each other even more, Vegeta. Until then, don't you dare to die. Meanwhile, we can see Cabba fighting Toppo.
The battle is getting harder and harder for Cabba. Toppo is very powerful and has no mercy on his opponent. Then Vegeta says, "Cabba, you're useless. If you lose, I'll kill you myself. You're taking too long. Get it over with." At that moment, Cabba is distracted and speaks. "I'm on my way now, master." Toppo, seeing that Cabba is distracted, launches a blast of energy at Cabba, who is thrown out of the arena. Vegeta tries to save him more already, and too late, Cabba had already had his existence erased. Vegeta feels guilty for having distracted Cabba in the middle of their fight. Vegeta drops to his knee on the ground, feeling guilty, and becomes enraged. Vegeta screams, "You damn worm! How dare you throw him out!" At that time, Vegeta quickly flies towards Toppo. With a lot of hatred in Vegeta's eyes, he doesn't say anything. He just grabs Toppo by the throat and starts to deliver several blows. Toppo faints, and Vegeta lets go, saying, "You insolent! How dare you!" At this time, Vegeta is surrounded by 4 more participants at once: Broly, Caulifla, and Kale. Caulifla was still very impressed that Kale has kissed Broly. So Caulifla says, "Let's talk about the kissing, Broly." Kale would respond, however she is interrupted by attacks coming towards the 3. Broly feels the evil energy approaching, so quickly Broly grabs Kale's shoulder and pulls her down. The huge sphere of ki brushes past Caulifla's face, who gets nervous and says, "Where did that came from? Get ready, Kale. Broly, are you alright?" Broly and Kale responds, "Yes, we're close." At that moment, the enemy approach, and without saying anything, he starts hitting Broly. And Broly already managed to pass to his second transformation without losing control. It was easy for him to defeat the enemies. Moreover, Caulifla was having difficulties to defeat her opponent. Caulifla says, "I will not lose to you. The only one who could stop me was the old man." With rosy cheeks, she keeps saying, "And he only managed to defeat me because he caught me off guard." Caulifla lunges at her opponent, delivering multiple blows and attacking from multiple directions. However, Caulifla is unconcerned with what was happening. She lets her guard down, opening space for the enemy to attack, who strikes her stomach. She falls to the ground unconscious. Kale, seeing that, runs to help. Kale had as much strength as Broly, and at that time she unleashed an energy sphere on the enemy, who didn't even want to move from the place. The enemy repels Kale's attacks, which begins to sink deeper. The enemy says, "Is that all you got? Is that all you have? I thought I could have fun with you because your friend is already out." And then the enemy starts kicking Caulifla, who remains unconscious. Kale, seeing that, gets angry and attacks the enemy with several blasts of ki. She lands several blows, and the enemy doesn't seem to care about the attacks of Kale. At that time, he takes Kale by the head and starts dragging Kale in the arena. Broly sees that, and with his high speed, he picks up Caulifla from the ground and puts her sitting in the corner and leaves to look for Kale that she was picking up. Then he stops in front of the enemy, and he says, "Let her go, or I'll kill you." The enemy responds, "Great, maybe you're more interesting than these wimps." Throwing Kale away, the enemy goes on to say, "I thought this tournament was for the strong. Where was Zeno-sama thinking about letting weakling and these little girls participate?" And with a laugh, very evil, he goes on to say, "Come, you only have size anyways." So Broly goes after his enemy, causing him to repent and take back what he says about Caulifla and Kale. They continue the fight. Broly delivers a blow to the enemy's chest that burns his clothes and leaves him very injured. At this time, Broly grabs the enemy and drags him out of the arena. Broly, holding on to his collar, says, "This is for you to learn to have respect for your enemies and not treat them like dirt." And Broly continues to say, "And that's for Kale and Caulifla," letting his enemy out of the arena. At this time, there are only a few warriors left. All were fighting their battles when Zeno-sama says, "My warriors, we have reached the end of the second phase of the tournament. Everyone get ready. There are only 50 warriors left. We will do the next phase of the qualifiers, but for now, you can all go to your rooms and rest." All the warriors stop the fights and go to their rooms. Goku and Vegeta are very tired. When they meet, Vegeta says, "You're still alive, Kakarot. Don't die until I kill you." Embarrassed, Goku starts laughing. "Of course, Vegeta." When they were about to go to their rooms to vent, the evil emperor enters laughing. Time. You insect is still alive. That's perfect. So I'll have the pleasure to kill you myself." Vegeta says, that's what we'll see. Frieza, with a cold look, says, just you wait. Then everyone goes to their room. 20 minutes have passed, and they listen.
Warriors, are you ready for the second phase?
Zeno-sama continues to say,
Good. Now get ready. Everyone go back to the arena and I'll tell you how the second phase of the tournament will work.
all the warriors return to the arena, and the atmosphere starts to get tense. Moments before starting the next step, all Universe 7 warriors advance to the next stage. Some had more difficulties than others, but all managed to do well. Vegeta was still shaken by Toppo. He had defeated Cabba, who fell from the arena and thus was erased. And all Vegeta could think about was revenge. Vegeta isolates himself from the others and decides he doesn't want to talk to anyone. Frieza was furious with Broly. After all, Broly had beaten him up, and that really made Frieza feeling more angry at the Saiyans. But Frieza still hadn't used all his power. He prefers to save his last transformation for a more important moment. Gohan and Piccolo were exhausted, but managed to overcome their limits. Gohan and Piccolo were in the hallway close to their respective rooms when Granola comes closer, and then Gohan asks, "Hey Granola, why didn't we hear about you or seen you in the arena when we started fighting? We thought you had been defeated." Granola then responds, "I can't say what you hear, but I think I got lucky. When the fighting started, I was thrown to the opposite side of the arena. I faced some warriors, but I didn't have many difficulties. I didn't even use up all my energy." Piccolo says, "You really got lucky." Broly was in his room thinking about the things that happened inside the arena and his new transformation that he had achieved. When you managed to control your powers. When he managed to control his powers. But Broly also thought about Kale. But still, he couldn't get his thoughts out of Shalai, who was waiting for him on this planet. On the other floors of the remaining universes, everything was a little more empty. Kale and Caulifla were nervous and anxious for the next stage, but they felt sad when they learned that Cabba had been defeated, and that left them very shaken. Caulifla swears to avenge Cabba. Caulifla says to Kale, "I'm gonna rip that bastard's mustache off. It was kind of weird and boring, but he was one of us. I will never forgive that bastard." Kale is extremely sad and both are very shaken. Hit is thoughtful and calmly awaits the next phase. On the other floor, Toppo is feeling guilty. After all, he had defeated many warriors and that had messed with his head. Jiren looked out the windows towards the arena. With a cold gaze, he just watches in silence. All the remaining warriors were somehow feeling strange hovering in the air, and feel very anxious to know the results of this tournament. Meanwhile, the gods of destruction felt completely desolate for not knowing what the outcome of this tournament would be. All the gods were thinking the same thing, that could not be defeated. After all, they would give their all to remain gods. The angels were making improvements and repairs in the arena, which was badly damaged due to the battles that took place. Zeno in his realm is completely excited. His eyes don't stop shining. He couldn't wait to start another phase. Zeno-sama is extremely excited to see the next fights due to the performance of all the warriors. We see Frieza sitting looking out the bedroom window, directly at the throne where Zeno is watching everything. Frieza smiles and says, "Soon that throne will be mine, and absolutely no one will be able to defeat me." The first part of the tournament had some setbacks, and that damn Saiyan almost finished me off. But for what I saw, his absurd power doesn't even come close to the powers I got with the revolution of my Black Frieza form. Ultra Black Frieza. When I face him again, everything will be different. After all, my name is Frieza, the ruler, the emperor of all universes. Meanwhile, in Vegeta's room, he continues to feel extremely guilty. In his eyes, you can see the fury and hatred that overflows. Goku, meanwhile, tried to recover his energy, but he couldn't stop thinking about what mysterious being had said. And so, at this moment, everyone hears the voice of Daishi-kun. "Get ready. Everyone go back to the arena. I will explain the second phase of the tournament." We can see 50 warriors from different universes. extremely powerful warriors entering the arena. Around, we can observe all the gods of destruction watching. Zeno-sama on his throne, he looks anxiously full of expectations. From the slowly the high priest, he says, "My congratulations to you all for the incredible performance. Zeno Lord Sama is extremely happy with everything that has seen so far. In this next step, we will do another battle royale, which will end when we have 24 warriors. All other rules remain the same. We're going to start right now, so get ready." At that time, all fighters prepare, stopping in combat position, and Daishin-kan asks, "Are you ready? Let the second phase begin." Immediately, all the warriors disperse, each one going to a different place in the arena. Some are already going straight for their rivals. Vegeta, who is thirsty for revenge, advances upwards to the Toppo. Goku starts looking for the mysterious warriors. Granola is attacked by 2 people at the same time. Several warriors decide to unite so that they can defeat the most powerful. Hit decides to look for Goku. The 2 Saiyans from Universe 6 are still together facing some enemies, and Broly starts looking for Kale to explain himself to her. At that moment, Gohan and Piccolo were fighting several enemies at the same time. Gohan doesn't wait long to raise his power to the maximum using his latest transformation. And Gohan says to Piccolo, "We can't take it easy, so let's go with everything." Piccolo begins to focus his power and increase his ki. His skin turns orange and his body begins to increase in size. Then he transforms into Orange Piccolo. And the 2 warriors go after the enemies. Granola, that faced 2 warriors at the same time, did well, but the fight has just begun. Deviant and Otter are extremely powerful warriors who always fight in pairs, for their abilities complement each other. They possess the power of gravity and anti-gravity. Granola punches Deviant, who uses his ability to make the blow lighter and thus weaker. And Otter uses his skill on Deviant, making that whenever he strikes, his blow become heavier and thus more destructive. Granola begins to have difficulties, but using his speed, he lures them to the edge of the arena. Deviant throws a punch, and at the exact moment he does that, Otto uses his powers to make it extremely heavy. Granola dodges at the last second. The punch hits the ground, and the arena begins to break apart. At this moment, Granola uses his power, throwing a sphere of ki, hitting them both, eliminating them immediately. Or so Granola thought. Hit finally finds Goku, and Goku is happy to see a known rival. Goku smiles and says, "You decided to fight me then?" And Hit responds, "Last time you were lucky and I let my guard down, and I couldn't show my real skill. In this tournament, there are no rules that stop me from doing what I do best." As he says this, Hit slowly walks towards Goku. He opened his arms very slowly and continues to say, "I am the great assassin of Universe 6, so I can just kill." When he finishes opening his arms and his hands, 2 swords made with a ki appears. Extremely lethal and powerful swords. At that moment, Hit propels himself towards Goku, who is surprised and says, "What is this? I thought we were friends." Hit responds, "I wouldn't say friends, but I can't say that I like you, but I have work to do." Hit starts to attack using the swords, attacking from side to side, trying to cut Goku, who dodges. Goku is excited and says, "What an incredible technique, Hit! But I can use something like that." So Goku uses his ki to create a protective layer of energy on his arms. And the battle starts to get extremely serious. The countenance of the 2 change. And Hit, with a cold stare, he looks at Goku and says, "Won't you transform?" And Goku, who already appeared to be out of breath, responds, "I don't know if I can. It's been a while since my body has been weird. And even if I regain some energy, my powers are running out easily. But come on, show me everything you got." Hit attacks with his swords with his left hand, and Goku manages to block. But Hit uses his infinite time jump, and then turns and with his left hand crosses the sword in the belly. Goku spits blood and falls to the ground. Hit says, "You're finished." Hit turns his back and starts walking. Hit closes his eyes and says, "It was nice fighting you, buddy." But a big explosion happens and an extremely frightening ki appears. It is the 3 mysterious warriors. And at that moment, their leader says, "So that means he can do it too." To be continued. What happened to Goku? Why did that mysterious warrior say that? Regardless of what it is more than important that you already expose it here in your comments so that we can enter into that crazy debate. Click the like button, subscribe here to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And that's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.